There are few phones more exciting in the market right now than the Redmi K20 Pro. That's because it combines two of our favorite things in one device, an incredible amount of performance at a very affordable price point. Now, where have we heard that before? That's right, the Poco Phone F1. So in some ways, a lot of people are considering this the spiritual successor to that legendary smartphone. But the new thing about this smartphone is that it has a brand new triple camera setup. But how good is it? So to find out, we're going to pit it against another flagship smartphone, which is the Xiaomi Mi 9. And since we have it on hand, we're also going to take a look at how it stacks up to the Mi 9T, which is basically like the global version of the K20 Pro. We don't expect there to be a huge difference, but we never know until we find out. So we're in the link KL, we're going to take a couple of photos and we're going to see how these cameras perform. Let's go. So in case you're wondering why we're testing these three phones out in particular, well, that's because on paper, we think that they should take pretty comparable images. So all three of them have triple camera setups and all three of them have one main sensor, one ultra wide and one telephoto. So the Mi 9, which I'm sure we're most familiar with, has a 48 megapixel main camera, a 12 megapixel telephoto camera and a 16 megapixel ultra wide angle camera. These two though, they also have 48 megapixel main sensors, but they have an 8 megapixel telephoto camera and a 13 megapixel ultra wide. So you do lose a bit of resolution when it comes to those two other secondary cameras. Now for the Mi 9T in particular, we don't actually have the officially confirmed specs, though we think that it's pretty similar. But by the time you're watching this video, the launch should have already happened and we should have the specs. So if it's the same, then you'll see the text appear here. But in any case, we think that these two smartphones will stack up pretty well to this actual flagship Mi 9. So I'm very interested to see how they actually compare and if there's any difference in terms of processing, because I think that would be pretty similar too because they're all MIUI. But yeah, let's find out. In our comparison, we tried to cover as many scenes as we could to emulate the kind of photos regular smartphone users would take. So we've got shots in ideal lighting, in low light, indoor portraits, as well as a test for both the ultra-wide and telephoto cameras. Let's start with the first scene. Here, the scene is lit beautifully with soft diffuse lighting from a setting sun. As you can see, all three images look really comparable, but the Mi 9 has noticeably less sharpening, resulting in what I think is a more natural looking image. Next, we've got the low light test, and this scene has a little contrast in it where our subject is well lit but everything else is pretty dark. Once again, the results are pretty similar, with the Mi 9 exposing for shadows just a little bit more, and the Mi 9's image also has noticeably lower contrast than the other two, which means it doesn't look quite as sharp. With night mode turned on, the images certainly look brighter and have that HDR feel to them, but there's really very little variance between the photos. In the zoom test, things get a little more interesting. The photos are pretty similar at 1x, but at 2x the difference is definitely noticeable. The Mi 9's image is much clearer and more detailed, while the Mi 9T struggled to pull focus. At 10x, I still think that the Mi 9 has the edge, but not by much. On the other end of the focal length spectrum, we've got the ultra-wide camera test. This was taken indoors, and for my money, the Mi 9 has the better looking image. Details are more well-defined than the other two, but the Mi 9 has a narrower equivalent focal length of 13mm compared to the other two's 12mm. But I would take the improved image quality over the slightly wider lens any day of the week. Portrait tests were always where Xiaomi smartphones have impressed. I think their edge detection is one of the best in the business, and you can see that here. Even in relatively low light, the phones had no major problems tracing my outline for a really nice looking photo. I think as far as skin tone is concerned, the Mi 9 edges out the competition, but the rest aren't far behind. Finally, we've got the selfie test, and surprise, surprise, the photos all look basically the same. Honestly, the images look too similar for me to pick a winner, so I'm not going to. At the end of the day, I can't really say that this test was a revelation. We sort of knew going in that the phones would be very evenly matched, and this test pretty much confirms it. But if I had to pick a winner, I'd choose the Mi 9 because it edges out the other two in the ultra-wide and zoom tests. But even then, I wouldn't say that it's by a huge margin. And you shouldn't take this as a knock against the Mi 9 because it is a really solid smartphone camera. Rather, you should be impressed at how well the more affordable devices are able to keep up with a full-fledged flagship in what was traditionally a budget phone's biggest weakness. And that's it for me for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell icon, all that good stuff. I would also love to hear who you thought was the winner in this comparison, so let me know in the comments below, and you can check out some of our cooler videos which should be appearing on screen right now, and I will see you in the next video. What other phones do you want us to do a camera comparison or just a normal comparison? Let me know that in the comments below too. Until next time, I'll see you. Bye!